Well, that concludes our story on the IU speech composition professor who was the victim of attempted assault by her students during finals week.
But thankfully, she was able to fend them off. She must be one tough cookie.
I guess that professor will think twice about grading final exams too harshly in the future, won't she?
Okay, well, on to our next story.
That's right. Melise will be reporting to us directly from the field on a story of alleged animal cruelty.
Yes, Seth, I'm sure the viewers of the Seth and Melise News Channel will really enjoy this one.
Okay.
This is Melise Androglu, live on location with S&M News. The latest story, the shocking tale of a man, Guillermo Vargas, who tied a stray dog to a wall and displayed him as an exhibit in an art gallery, failing to feed him or give him water for a lengthy period of time, starving him to death. The public's outrage is obvious, but Vargas is adamant on defending his actions, claiming that the cause of which I am doing this is to bring awareness to animal overpopulation. Your art, most specifically your most recent piece featuring a stray helpless dog, has raised quite a few eyebrows to say the least. What would you say to defend your art?
The exhibits I show and the artwork that I passionately create all serve a purpose, and they are meant to be interpretive.
Of this interpretive art, what kind of art would you say is the one that you favor the most of the art you create?
I like installation pieces because they give viewers the opportunity to see a three-dimensional, realistic piece of work, and I feel that it's more relatable and effective.
Guillermo Vargas stirred up quite the controversy when he chose to take a seemingly helpless stray dog in, but for all of the wrong reasons. He tethered this dog to a wall and left him there without food and water for days. Just to make a point. This point was heard across the world when people began noticing the harm that he was causing to this poor animal, and this was precisely his intended effect. Many see this as completely contradictory towards your ultimate goal. What would you say was your intended purpose in creating this installation?
I want to invoke a response from the public. People, these same people that complained and sent letters to governments and film festivals about me, they failed to recognize their own errors. If they had encountered that very same dog in the street, they probably would have ignored it and kept going. So I'm showing them that they're doing exactly what I'm doing when they walk away.
The public has had quite the reaction towards the installation and claims of animal cruelty that Vargas has created solely to promote his artistic career. But Vargas persists that is not his intended reasoning. There have been thousands of letters written by many individuals with claims as far as doing the same thing to Vargas as he did to the animal. Mr. Vargas, there has been great public interest expressed in terminating your career as an artist and your involvement with art festivals in more than 15 countries. How do you react to that?
I knew that my audience would react this way. I hope they would. It brings to light the issue I want to address in my piece. Statistics tell us that this dog and most others like it would die on the streets because our society of human beings disregard them and do nothing to help them. Because people choose to react negatively and proactively when this issue is, thrown in their faces, it's hypocritical. No? Why do they not care when the dogs that they do not see but know are there?
Mr. Vargas, let me make sure that I understand you correctly. You wanted this piece to give your audiences more knowledge about animal overpopulation and the fact that they do care about animals, but they simply don't do anything to help it.
See, the question now I want my piece to pose to them is, why are you not upset enough about the millions of animals that die in the same way in the streets? Why aren't these petitions being started to end animal starvation and even homelessness? All that my piece did was make my audience see the problem they don't want to bother themselves with.
But this seems like a little bit of a, exaggerated way of doing it. Don't you think there are less controversial ways to approach this than, starving a dog to death in such a public place in front of the entire country?
Absolutely. I had to show these people that they do care about needless, preventable deaths of animals.
People do seem to feel really strongly about what you did to this animal. What do you think justifies the cost of making your point?
I wanted not only to show people that they do care about the lives of these animals, but feel an obligation to do something. By ignoring animal overpopulation, we have allowed their unnecessary deaths. Therefore, we have a responsibility to take action towards preventing them.
And why do you feel that we, as human beings, are responsible for preventing the overpopulation of animals?
Humans have created this world for humans and domesticated these animals outside of their natural habitats. And now we simply allow them to overpopulate and roam the streets to starve, be hit by cars, and continue to breed more animals that are going to die in the same way. If they don't die on their own, we euthanize them in animal shelters and pounds.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me, Mr. Vargas. I mean, I think you've brought light to a lot of different animal overpopulation issues.
Thank you for
Seth,
interviewing.
back to you.
Thanks, Melise. That's a very thought-provoking piece of news. Obviously, we all feel that this is an atrocious act, but we're left wondering, did this dog die in vain? Are we going to change the way that we as a society act so that these artistic points don't even need to be made? I don't think that any of us would agree with the way that Mr. Vargas approached this issue, but we can all agree that the value of life is something to be defended. After all, it is the one thing that all of us have in common. Dog, cat, human being. As Mr. Vargas pointed out, as a society, we have created this high level of overpopulation, and I, for one, plan on doing something about it. To this point, you may be asking yourself, what can you, as a Bloomington citizen, do to help? Which brings us to our next point. S&M News Channel has chosen 3 Bloomington organizations to represent that all work to bring the issue of animal overpopulation, as well as the problems that it causes, to an end. First is Pets Alive, a nonprofit organization that provides spaying and neutering services to pet owners of Bloomington, Indiana, at minimal costs. Spaying and neutering is a simple and essential way to help reduce the population of homeless domestic animals. If you're not a pet owner, of course you can still help. Sweet Repeats, also a nonprofit, provides Bloomington residents with gently used household furniture and items. Sweet Repeats works directly with Pets Alive, the aforementioned organization, donating all of their proceeds to the cause. Of course, let's not forget the Bloomington Animal Shelter, who can always use your donations in time. With a substantial amount of rescued cats and dogs, the shelter is always in need of assistance from residents of Bloomington. This is Seth Mattingly of S&M News signing off.